advances in new technology, Japan has seen a recent trend of shachos rising from the technological divisions of a company. Sekimoto, an engineer by training, is one of them.
Mr. President, how long do you spend at your desk each day?
On the average, about 2 hours. The rest of the time, I'm busy as a beaver dashing from place to place.
The NEC Group, including wholly owned companies and affiliates, employs over 130,000 people. To raise morale among workers and to keep in touch with the daily operations of NEC, Sekimoto often takes time to visit and inspect the factories, like this one in Shizuoka.
May I ask you what your salary is?
I make about 60 million yen.
Would you say that you're overpaid or underpaid for a president?
Well, I can't say that I'm underpaid at 60 million yen a year, but it's common knowledge in Japan that there's a problem with this, the progressive income tax. In my case, if I get paid 60 million yen, over 60% goes to the government in the form of various taxes such as income, property, city, and so on. So, in fact, I actually receive something less than 20 million yen in take-home pay.
How does a shacho's salary compare with that of a new employee? In 1927, after tax, a shacho earned 101 times the salary of an entry-level employee. By 1980, the difference was only 7.5 times as much.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Very fine, thank you.
Thank you so much. Very good invitation tonight. And first of all,
President Sekimoto has observed some of the differences between U.S. corporate structure and management styles and those of Japan.
Though it varies from company to company, a Japanese president will live intimately with the history and experience of his company for 10, 20, 30, or even 40 years or more. However, an American company president can readily change companies. If a headhunter comes up with a good offer, or if his performance isn't what was expected of him even for a quarter or two, then it's goodbye.
U.S. company presidents work under pressure to provide dividends and to show continuous profits in quarterly reports to stockholders and board members alike. In Japan, the situation is quite different. A Japanese corporation's board of directors is composed largely of company executives, for whom a seat on the board is a long-term career goal. For example, only one of the 32 board members of NEC is not a company employee, and even he belongs to the same overall industrial group as NEC because he is from the company's bank.
In three of last year's
At this Ford Motors stockholders meeting, the talk has turned to quarterly dividends. In America, it is commonly understood that a company is owned by the stockholders. At these meetings, company officials refer to the company as yours, and attendees participate in discussions when questions of profits and hence dividends arise. In Japan, company officials speak of my company, and the stockholders concur in this perception of ownership. In more than 60% of the cases, the meeting is over in less than 30 minutes, and usually the turnout is modest.
During the current period of rapid change, Japanese management technique has demonstrated its strength. The strategic planning of Japanese corporations is based on the philosophy of perpetuity of enterprises, and therefore is developed on a long-term as well as the medium and short-term basis. Stockholders agree with his approach. My management motto is summed up as target, plan, do, see. That is, first think of the general target or goal, make specific plans to reach it, execute the plan, and see the results. These are the fundamentals of good management. In practice, targets are identified through medium and long-range planning, and results are reviewed carefully. If they're not good, I fix what's wrong and try again. In Japan, this is an acceptable method of management, and it's perfectly understood and supported by stockholders.
At the turn of the century, Japan's corporate world was entirely the domain of huge conglomerates called zaibatsu, which controlled enormous numbers of companies. Under General Douglas MacArthur's directions, U.S. occupation soldiers entered the Mitsui Bank's main building to confiscate the zaibatsu's vast stock holdings. Stocks were counted, packaged, labeled, and crated for removal. Until the dissolution of the zaibatsu, Japanese corporations neither needed nor desired a broad stockholder base. And not until the breakup of the zaibatsu did Japan's wealth begin to be distributed among the population. Hideo Edo is the chairman of Mitsui Real Estate, a part of the Mitsui Group, which along with several other groups forms the industrial and financial backbone of Japan. He has been with Mitsui Real Estate since 1927. His perspective on the dissolution of the zaibatsu is a first-hand one.
After the war, the concentrated wealth of the zaibatsu combines and their owners were divided up. And even then, the remaining centers of wealth were taxed at up to 90%. This leveled and redistributed wealth. As a result, Japan does not have an industrial elite today like the rest of the world.
After the breakup of the zaibatsu, corporate stocks became widely available. But new industrial groups arose quickly after the signing of the peace treaty. These companies began to buy up each other's offerings, maintaining stable and familiar management, and shielding each other against hostile takeover or acquisition. Individual stock ownership reached a high of 68% in the early 1950s, and then began a steady decline. Institutional and corporate stockholders increased their holdings throughout the post-war period, and today own fully 70% of all Japanese stock. The non-destructive inspection company in Osaka inspects nuclear power plants for safety and structural defects. Shacho Takashi Yamaguchi is 56 years old. He founded the company in 1957 and has pioneered new techniques for the detection and correction of faults in nuclear power plants. He addresses his employees during each morning's assembly, taking personal interest in the well-being of the group, which he views as an extended family. He admonishes them to take care of their health and to avoid the bad cold he recently caught. The company employs 1,200 people. At the head office, each morning begins with the recital of the company's motto: "Every day, improvement is important." Yamaguchi's small company does not have the same massive organizational challenges as Matsushita or NEC. Yamaguchi nevertheless values company spirit and a shared corporate philosophy. Westerners often view Japanese management as being bottom-up rather than top-down. A typical Western president will effect a change, and the rest of the company is expected to follow and support his decision. In Japan, where Shachos most frequently rise to their posts after years of service to the company, very different methods of decision-making have evolved. The company, like many Japanese corporations, often reaches decisions by using the ringi system. A lower-level employee circulates a formal memo to his superiors, suggesting some change or new idea. As the memo moves its way through the company, peers and superiors either sign or append suggestions. Through this consensus decision-making approach, a new idea is either implemented or discarded. The first step for the plan's initiator is to arrange a meeting with his peers to decide if the idea merits submission to their superiors. Before a formal memo reaches the boss's inbox, it is carefully evaluated by the staff. Once this new suggestion has been seen and assessed by all concerned, the section chiefs approve it with their signature stamp. From a Western perspective, the ringi system of decision by group consensus seems time-consuming and unwieldy. But the power of the ringi system lies in the joint responsibility all signers share for the successful implementation of the new idea. This ringi already has the signatures of 15 employees. At the executive level, where issues of corporate strategy and future goals are determined, the decision-making function lies with the managing directors group. The ringi circulates among these 21 men, whose approval is final. These managing directors meet once a month for about 3 hours for the formal approval of a new ringi.
東京本店の方これ資料を見てて、どうこの開発目的については、東京の答えをまた
Prior to these meetings, a proposal is informally adjusted and appended through a number of preliminary consultations. This step, essential to the success of all new ringi, is called nemawashi, literally, the preparation of the soil before planting.
東京本店も大賛成だと。申請当事者が
Those wishing to submit such ringi materials to the managing directors meeting bring all relevant material, data, projections, whatever, to me prior to the meeting. When I receive the material, I immediately copy it and circulate it among the managing directors. I make sure that everyone has a copy, especially those items that must be decided on at the next board meeting. At an absolute minimum, the process requires at least 10 days for the material to be in their hands. During these 10 days, the directors again study that material. As all executive directors of our company have major responsibilities and authorities of their own, they rarely reach an instant consensus at the meetings. If there is an agenda which is difficult to decide or may cause some friction on the board, I meet as Shacho with the members most interested in the subject at hand. I listen to their opinions, giving them our opinions, so we are prepared.
The basis of President Yamaguchi's management philosophy is corporate harmony, or WA. He thinks of the company as a single family and hopes his employees will feel happy, loyal, and safe. To enhance communication within the company, Yamaguchi personally underwrites company get-togethers he calls friendship parties several times a year. This commitment to retaining a family spirit may be what most clearly distinguishes traditional Japanese companies from their American counterparts. And as small companies grow, great efforts are made to maintain their familial character. But as the Japanese economy becomes increasingly complex and fragmented, corporations are taking new shape. In the last 5 years, the Maekawa Manufacturing Company has been completely restructured, creating more than 60 autonomous entities, each headed by its own Shacho. Here is one president. Here's another, President Kato. And another division president is over there. The company is a leading manufacturer of industrial freezers and cold storage units. In this company, there is no special president's office. Instead, each president works in an open space with his employees, and all of the companies work side by side under a shared roof. The decentralization of this company is the brainchild of President Masao Maekawa.
In a period of high economic growth, one can make and sell products in quantity. It is the nature of the time. But now the market has changed, and the needs of our customers are more specialized. Under such circumstances, the individual producer should be fragmented into several companies, each flexible and adaptable to the needs of its own individual customers. These small companies should never forget that they are liable to fail and go bankrupt, like any living organism facing a true test of fitness and survival. No living thing wants to die. In reality, however, no office unit within a corporation worries about death. It's only after they are sent out into the wild that they face the reality of extinction. That gives them the will for survival.
Maekawa's corporate Darwinism stems from his belief that small, flexible, and specialized companies will survive. Within a single year, Maekawa gave birth to 30 independent sub-companies. One of the many new presidents is Naganori Hoshi, age 43. He was a division chief at Maekawa until he was named president of this company, charged with the maintenance and quality control service of Maekawa's industrial refrigerators. Capitalized modestly at its inception by the parent company, Hoshi's company has a payroll of 5.